I'm in the wrong one. Friends, we are live. Hey, folks, welcome to our Wednesday night live. Look at these beautiful cut flower kale. I think we actually may have started some of these together, probably like 3 weeks ago. Well, I can tell you, the 15th. Today's August 6th, so a little bit over 3 weeks. Friends, so glad you're here tonight. And if you are one of my friends that tunes in often, you can notice that part of my hair is gone. I got a big haircut today. It happens every time I hit the dead of summer, y'all. So friends, welcome. I want to just extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. And tonight's show is going to be pretty fun because I'm going to be going through Seed Starting 101. I have a new complete kit to introduce and talk y'all through that. I'm going to do my regular live Q&A, y'all. These little boxes that pop up. Me and tech. I'll be doing the little live Q&A at the end of the show. So remember, if you have a question, post it in the comments. Just put @Lisa and then type in whatever your question. And then when we're done, I will breeze back through those. And you know, I love doing that part, right? And so before we get started, friends, if you haven't ever used it, there is actually a share button at the bottom of the screen, and you can let your friends know that you're here during the live gardening show, and you can invite them to come, right? So I've actually remembered to bring my notes up tonight. That's why I wished I could pull this over a little closer. Now, you know, we always have to run through housekeeping. We have new people every single show we do. We have new folks that join us, so I have to give them the lay of the land. First off, this app is not connected to our website at all. So when you set up an account in here, we really appreciate it if you would double check your email address for typos and make sure it's a valid email, and also your phone number. We need those 2 items to ship you anything. So please check that out. And the thing that happens here inside the app only is when you order Seed Starting seed packet only orders, an order with just seed packets, we pay the shipping. So that's just here in the app. It's just one of the little bonuses that we're able to do over here, as well as there is a product cap on shipping, meaning it's $11.95. You only pay that once, no matter how many products you get. And tonight, that's even part of what the special is, because the big complete kit, normally the shipping is usually like twice that. So you just pay $11.95 for the shipping on that. And we do ship to all 50 of the United States with no international shipping. Now, if you have joined us from over on social media, I am so glad you have found us. And I'm just so glad that you're here. But I'd love for you to be able to participate even deeper by, for instance, being able to submit questions for the Q&A and to actually talk and carry on with the other live viewers. There's always a great conversation going on in there. And to do that, you would need to get our free phone app. And it doesn't take but about 30 seconds. You can pop over to your phone's app store and search Gardener's Workshop, and then download the free shop app for the Gardener's Workshop, and then pop back over here, and we'll be right here waiting for you. So just want you to be aware that that's available, and you can watch replays and shop 24/7 in there. So there's really a lot of great stuff. And we typically almost always sell out of certain products during the live show. And so if you go to a product to put it in your cart and it says out of stock, I would recommend that you would hit the button to get notified, because frequently the team is actually bringing over stock from our website here into the app, and you'll just simply get a little ding when that actually happens. And you know, lastly, friends, if you see folks putting, and I already see them, people putting in the comments the little sunflower emoji, that is part of our logo, and those are our family members. And those, what are our family members? Those are our online course students, as well as members of my private flower farming club, and we just love it when they give us a shout out that they're here. So thank y'all so much for doing that. So I want to talk about starting seeds tonight, and why would you start your own seeds? And I want to move this computer, y'all. I still haven't quite gotten my setup the way I actually want it. Anyway, so why would you want to start seeds? Starting your own seeds is the difference between planting what's available and then planting what you actually want, because only a very small, minute fraction of a fraction are the plants available at garden centers and nurseries that are actually available. When you start your own seeds, it is truly an endless selection. And more importantly, if you want to grow cut flowers and grow cut flower variety flowers, which make the best cut flowers, they last longer, they don't drop pollen, they last, have stiff stems, there's lots of different qualities. But if you want to get those varieties, you really have to start your own seeds because they grow tall, and that's not what people are looking for typically when they go down to the garden center and the nursery for shopping. And so that is why you would want to start seeds. So let's just talk about how you could actually go about doing that. I will warn you that seed starting, when you're successful, as I was with soil blocking, it becomes quite addictive. And that's kind of how I ended up being a flower farmer. It's like you just had such great success. You keep starting more plants. And it's pretty amazing, actually. And so let's just talk about what is the best way to start a seed. Well, that starts with the seed, not with your personal preference. Each seed has a preferred way to be started, and that just means what is the easiest way for you to provide for its needs to actually to get it to sprout. So, in other words, the preferred way is the easiest and simplest and the most successful way to start a seed. And so how would you know that? Well, it's on everything that we provide for you. It's on the seed packet. It's on the sales page for the seed. It's in the books. It's in the courses. It's like literally everywhere, right? We include that information when we provide that. So this is a pack of, this is zinnias, Benari's giant zinnias, and it tells you right on the back, start seeds indoors 2 to 3 weeks before planting out, or plant seeds directly in the garden. And whenever it tells you that there's 2 ways to actually start it, start them indoors or plant them outside. On our seed packets anyway, and on any of our resources, we always list my preferred method first. So we're not saying there's still another method, but the way that we have the most success is always listed first. So you can get that information there. So where do I start seeds? So some seeds prefer to be started indoors as a transplant, and other seeds prefer to be started outdoors. And the real difference is that, again, the seed tells you the actual difference. Tonight, I'm actually reviewing how you would start seeds indoors for all those seed packets that say, best to start indoors 2 to 3 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it is, before your actual planting time that you have set up. And so I use soil blocking, and I will tell you just very briefly, back when I started my flower farm in 1998. In 1997 is when I started getting really interested in gardening, and I tried I had it's like a cartoon. I had a closet that had all these failed seed kits that I had purchased at box stores and down at nurseries, domes and all kinds of stuff. And I just was a dreadful seed starter. That's just really telling the truth, And then I came across, actually from PBS, Public Broadcasting Station, saw Elliot Coleman soil blocking on TV, and I kind of filed it away. And then I did what he said. And literally, friends, I'm telling you, the first seed I ever started successfully were snapdragons, which a lot of people struggle with them. But with soil blocking, it's just such a different environment. I was like an overnight success with starting seeds. So I'm going to share with you today how we go about soil blocking and why I use it and how I use it. And so I want to first demonstrate how we make them. And I have some here to make. And I'm just going to adjust this so you can see me. So this is really different than most seed starting methods. The blocking mix, the seed starting mix, is different than most mixes that are going into a container. So if you think about that, instead of filling a, like a plug tray or something up, or a little peat pots or whatever you may have tried with soil, the actual blocking mix that we're making the blocks out of is the container. So when you're putting seed starting mix into a container like those pots, you need the soil to be light and airy so air and water can go through the soil. Well, it's the complete opposite with soil blocks. You want the soil blocking mix to be dense so it clings together. And you wet it a lot more because we're going to fill this tool and then push it out, and you want them to come out really easily. So the way you do this is we import these little tools from England. These are the original brand. I hold the stationary bar with 2 hands, and I typically push it down into the soil 2 times. I want the chambers full, but I don't want them jam-packed, right? You just want a nice, firm little block. Now, one of the things for me is, I have no hoop and greenhouses. I still don't after almost 30 years of farming. We start everything indoors. And so I tweaked the soil blocking method to be able to use trays with no drainage holes, which means you can do it anywhere inside a home or a building and not worry about having water running out, right? So this is a reusable foam tray. We use these for years, literally. And this particular tray will hold 2 sets of 20. So let's just make these. And just that fast, I just made 20 small blocks. And let's do that again. This is a potato masher, y'all. I have found that to be the most effective tool for mixing the soil and the water together and just using as the tool to do this. So I've pushed the chamber, pushed the blocker down twice to make sure the chambers are full. And again, we're just gonna put it onto our tray, give it a push and a pull, and we just made 40 little containers, y'all. And now I'm going to sew 2 different ways. So I'm going to sow seeds here in just a moment, and we're going to sow some zinnias and some snapdragons. But I want to show you how this is actually available. So this will make me very happy to get rid of this and give me some room. All right, so the Soil Block Maker Kit is our customer #1 favorite. It's the #1 way that we have sold soil blockers since 2005, right? And so the Soil Block Maker, and all right, I need to change this, y'all. All right, so we were still on the introduction. I shouldn't have done that. All right, so now hopefully the Soil Block Maker's coming up. So the Soil Block Maker Kit is like the basic kit to get started making soil blocks. And so this kit includes the small blocker, and this makes 20 of the 3/4 inch. It includes a bag of the ready-made blocking mix. This bag looks small, but guess what, y'all? This will start like 600 of those little small blocks. It's pretty amazing, and it's really heavy because it's so dense. It's not light and fluffy like other seed starting mixes, right? So you get that. You also get your choice of either 3 cool season seeds, which is what everybody's buying these days, right? Or you can get 3 warm season seeds. It just is your choice when you're actually checking out. And then this is my seed starting course, Seed Starting Made Easy Y'all, it takes you by the hand and leads you through the entire process of starting the seeds, hardening them off, everything, getting them out to the garden. It even has a session on sowing seeds outdoors in the garden. Then it comes with 5 of those reusable trays, and these actually hold 3 sets of 20. It also includes, what you'll see me use in a moment here, the seed pan, along with the toothpicks, and these little wooden plant tags, which I actually use as the tools to handle my blocks if I need to. So you get everything that I just mentioned in this kit, and it's $89.95 with only $11.95 shipping, which it's a little bit more when you order this on the website because it costs more to ship it. That's part of our special today, is you get the kit for $89.95 and shipping is capped at $11.95. So this is the basic soil block maker kit. And so that's kind of, that is particularly for the person that's maybe already starting seeds indoors and you have seed starting equipment, but you're using another tool to actually, or a vessel to actually start your seeds. That would be a perfect fit in for you. Now, let's look at this. So what do seeds need to sprout and grow? When seeds are planted, they need heat, light, and moisture, right? And so the way that we do that is that we provide Seedling, the soil, with our Seedling heat mat. So this heat mat actually has a built-in thermostat that triggers off of the air temperature. This mat will warm up 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the air temperature. And here's the deal, friends. Most seeds sprout best between 75 and 85 degrees, and that's generalized, okay? And so you're thinking, well, shoot, my house is like 72 degrees, I'm good. Well, that's air temperature that you're talking about. A mass of soil, like for instance, if you could put your finger up against this soil that I just made those blocks, this soil is so cool. It is 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the air temperature in this room, okay? That's the whole point of why we have to have Seedling heat mats. When you use a Seedling heat mat, it warms up the soil and tells the seed to actually break dormancy and sprout. So the way that I handle, like right now, we're on the verge of starting tons of cool season hardy annuals, stuff we plant in the fall, right? Well, they need some warmth, but they don't need it quite as warm as our warm season stuff. So the way that I handle that is that I place my heat mat, and put this so maybe y'all can see it. You literally just plug this baby in, and our heat mats stay plugged in 24/7, literally from about January to October, because we have a constant flow of seedlings. You plug this in, and you know what a cookie cooling rack is that you put your cookies on when you bring them out of the oven? They got little short legs. I just put one of those cookie cooling racks over top of the heat mat to create a little heat space between the mat and the bottom of the trays. It is still warm, but it is not as hot as it is during the summer. And so the best temperature to start cool season hardy annuals is a 65 to 70 degree air temperature. And then that triggers this to warm up. And so that is how we get more seeds to germinate more uniformly and more quickly, right? And so that is the Seedling heat mat. Now, the other thing that we do a little bit different, we do a lot of things different around here if y'all haven't noticed. When you're the person, and I did not bring that up, sorry friends, I'm just bringing it up right now. I'm just being bad here. I need to bring this over here closer. Maybe this will help me. When you're the person that's actually doing this, we literally, during our high production years, we were starting over 100,000 seedlings a year over the seasons, because we start almost all season long. You just learn what works and what doesn't, and just the necessary tools and the unnecessary tools. So the heat mat is now up, and that there is, if you need a larger heat mat, we do have a big one over on our website, but that is essential to cool and warm season seed starting. Now, something else that we use that's a little bit different And I'll show you how we do this. So if you'll just imagine, well, we won't have to imagine because I'm actually going to do it right here, y'all. So let's just think that, you know, that we've already sown the seeds for these snapdragons, which I'll be doing that in just a couple of minutes here, I think. You put your tray, well, we need a cookie cooling rack, which is too far away for me to run and get it. So imagine there's a cookie cooling rack. You can actually 1, 2, 3, you could almost cheat 4 of these onto this seedling heat mat, right? You've sowed your seeds, and they're surface sown seeds, which is many of the seeds that we start are sown on the surface. We don't use plastic domes, and like some people even use saran wrap and stuff, which it definitely works, but it's just really easy to introduce disease like dampening off, which is a fungus, and we don't monitor enough. When you're using plastic to trap moisture, you really need to check it more than once a day. I go in my grow room once in the morning, and then I'm on to do other farm duties. I do not go back in my grow room. So that led us to use, this is wide weave burlap. You see how big those holes are? And literally, we just lay it down right on top of the blocks that have been sown. And in the morning, when I come out to water, literally, I just pull the burlap back and water my blocks as normal. And once it's absorbed all the water and I make sure I haven't overwatered it, I literally just lay this back down. Now this burlap stays on the blocks, on the seedling heat mats, until you see action starting to happen, cracking. Because what you don't want to do is to leave this burlap on too long and have the seedlings will pop through those holes, and then when you pull it off, you rip your seedlings out. It is a very sad experience if you can tell that I've done it, right? So that is the wide weave burlap, which actually is a 3x3 piece approximately, and it comes in a 3-pack or in a single pack. And we just find this really helps to trap moisture, but it doesn't trap air. And that's the difference between this and plastic. And so we have really great luck doing it this way, and it works really, really well. Now, you saw me just bring out the watering can and use, love this watering can. It actually has, y'all have too many buttons over here to keep up with. And I have brought that up. This is the watering can you just saw me use. What I totally love is that it has a long spout, and when I pour water, it's got a gentle pour, and when I water up against the side of the tray. I don't pour water on the blocks or towards the blocks, right? So let's see, where have I gone wrong here? So we use the burlap. Oh, now I need to show you the grow light. Sorry, y'all, where is the grow light? Is it not? It is not here. Okay, so the grow light, I don't believe is available separately, is the deal, but seedlings need light to actually grow and sprout. So I didn't even show you my babies. So these are some newly cracked snapdragons that have just, they're literally, there's lots of little tiny ones coming along in here. And if these guys had not been under a grow light, they literally would have been already like this tall, stretching and looking for light, right? So a grow light is a really important piece of the process. They need about 16 to 18 hours of light a day to stay short and stocky. Look at this. This is the kale that we started together a few weeks ago. And see, look how bushy and light and beautiful this is. If this had not been under a grow light at the appropriate height, these things would already be this tall, because when they stretch, they're looking for light, friends. So seedling needs light, and use a timer. And a timer, our timers turn on at 6 a.m. in the morning and go off at 10 o'clock at night. Because you think that you're gonna remember to actually do it, but you don't. And let's just say you forget and go to work and don't turn your light on. When you come home, just in a few hours, all the seedlings will be stretching to the light. It's really upsetting when that happens, and that's why we just don't even rely on us. We rely on a timer, right? So the watering can is now where I am. Sorry, y'all. This watering can is not only great for watering soil blocks, we absolutely love it for watering flower arrangements. You know, when Suzanne makes those beautiful bouquets and they're big and bushy, you don't want to have to lift the whole bouquet out to add more watering because you can't get it under the sink. This is the perfect watering can. It's stainless steel. I think it holds 4 cups. And how you want to water your seedlings, because this is a big challenge for people. When you water your seedlings in the morning, as you saw me do here a minute ago, when you want your environment to be of such that when you come out the next morning, you should always water first thing early in the morning, right? When you come out the next morning, those blocks should be dry. In fact, these are dry. I did not water these. They were watered first thing this morning, and they're already getting a little dry, and that's perfect because I want them to go from here through the night with their blocks borderline dry, because did you know that oxygen getting to the roots is just as important as water getting to the roots? But when these blocks are moist and wet, there's not room for oxygen in the blocks. And so you want your environment to actually be of such that when you come out the next morning, your blocks are dry. And what creates that to happen is air temperature. You want it to be a little bit warmer when you're actually growing vegetative plants, meaning the top part of the plant. And if you have a problem, you know, especially if you're doing this in your home, you can put your seedling heat mat in one area and have your grow light somewhere else. And where your grow light is, to actually your setup, to have it be a little bit warmer. That's what really dries the blocks out and encourages vegetative growth. And so I think cool air temperatures is the #1 reason people struggle. They overwater because they don't dry out and the tops don't grow. And then when the tops don't grow, the roots don't grow, right? So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So you want them to be dry when you get to them the very next morning. So let's see where we are here. So I'm frequently asked, how do we have such beautiful seedlings? Well, it is in this fertilizer that we use. I've used this for years. It's Neptune's Harvest, the seaweed fish. This is an 18-ounce bottle. You put 1 tablespoon of this in your watering can on whatever day you designate. For us, that's Mondays. And anybody that is under a grow light or out on the porch gets watered. This their regular daily watering with this. And that just really provides lots of good biology and good food and just grows amazing transplants. So that is the Neptune's Harvest that you can actually get. Now, next, y'all, I want to introduce the kit that we have it just hit me like a ton of bricks a couple days ago. What in the world should we do? All right. I'm going to put these aside because we're going to sow some seeds here in just a few moments. But first, I'm going to show you this kit and what comes in it and what has changed. All right, so it has all of its own stuff. So I'm going to put this over here. So this is the grow light that's actually in this kit that I'm getting ready to show you. So let me bring this up. This is our new Soil Block Maker Complete Kit. And friends, we were talking about this last week, and it's like, wait a minute, it's not really complete. We need to add a couple of items to this, and that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. And it only changed the price a couple dollars, y'all. We were able to really keep this as a good value when you buy the whole kit together. So let's take a look at what we have here. So I'm just going to pull this stuff out. You get all of this. Everything that's in this box is in the complete kit. So I want to show you first So this includes the soil block maker kit that you just saw me go through, right? So that includes, I'm gonna pull that out. So that is the trays and all of that stuff. I better get this guy out of here. I can tell you I'm gonna smash him. So you get the trays, you get the blocking mix, so you get that original and the blocker. You get all of that original stuff. You get the soil, you get the seed starting made easy, but instead of just getting 3 seeds, you actually get 5 seeds of your choice, either 5 cool or 5 warm, and you make that selection at checkout. And again, everybody is going for cool season right now. This kit includes the heat mat, which we just went through why you need that. It has the heat mat. It includes the grow light, which you see right there behind me on the table, and it includes the timer that you need to turn it on and off. It includes the Neptune's Harvest, which I just showed you how I use that. And then it also includes the Fungus Gnat Fighting Kit, which is the bits that go in your watering can, as well as the sticky traps that capture the adults. I'm trying to go through everything here, y'all. And this includes a row cover, which is right here. And friends, the 2 things that we have added to this is we have added the actual flower support plant netting. This is a 20-foot piece, and a 20-foot piece of biodegradable film. So it's like you really do have the complete kit now. This is the way that you'll mulch your bed out there. You have the plant support netting, and you get all of this for $299 and $299.95. I actually had to look at it, right? And this special, what's special about this here in the app is you get this for shipping for $11.95. Normally the shipping is like double that because of the weight and size of the box. And this will be available through Thursday, August 7th, which is tomorrow night at midnight. And this is only available inside the app. If you went over to our big website to buy it, you'd pay, I would guess, at least probably twice that shipping, because that's what it actually costs us to ship it. So you get all of this together. You get everything you need to actually start, grow, plant, and support everything you need for your soil blocking. Now I want to actually, pretty sure I was supposed to have sown these seeds further back in the show, but friends, it just didn't happen that way. And I can't get this stuff back in the box the way it's supposed to be. All right, so I want to show you how I showed you my Snapdragon seedlings, and a question that people frequently have, what am I going to put this on? What do you know? Love having props everywhere. That's pretty sturdy. So, I'm going to show you how I sow little tiny seeds, and I want you to notice that, I watered this tray, which these blocks were not dry, and that's how you want it to look. You want it, the water has been absorbed. That's how you should leave it. You never leave standing water in a tray. So in this tray it looks like little black pepper. It's actually snapdragons, and snapdragons get sown on the surface. And when you use this little aluminum seed pan, there's no static electricity. And what that means is if you've been using a little plastic seed dish or something, like a little butter dish, how you get soft butter, there's so much static electricity, you've been chasing the seed. Literally, when you put a little saliva on the end of your toothpick and just touch it to the tiniest seed, it literally just hops right on. Now, the thing with snaps is they want to be sown right on the surface. That tiny little seed is there. And when your blocks are nice and moist, that's why you never make your blocks and then let them sit out, especially like till the next day to sow them. When the blocks are nice and moist, it just grabs the seed. You want to be sure that the seed is firmly seeded in the soil, because a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to sprinkle them. Well, you can sprinkle them, but then you have to push it. You know, that's the real difference. They need to make good contact. So that's the way that we sow seeds that need to be sown on the surface. You don't cover them with soil. You firmly seed them on the surface. And then the other really question that we get a lot is, what about seeds that need to be, the instructions? And again, friends, these instructions are right on the seed packet. The Snapdragon says do not cover with soil. These are zinnias, and it says cover seeds with soil. It's really clear, right? So I'm going to show you, people frequently are surprised that we plant zinnia seeds, which look like little arrowheads, in the small block. And how do you cover it? I use my fingers. I put the pointy end in the block, and literally I just push it down into the block. You can use your toothpick to push it in deeper if you feel the need, but we don't. We just push it in, and it's still visible. I'll grab two. The tail, I'm going to show you, is still sticking out, but because the seed is down in the soil, that is considered covered with soil. I do this with marigolds, cosmos, zinnias, and you can see their tails still sticking out right there. So that is how you sow the seeds. And then when I would go put them on the Seedling heat mat, literally you just lay the burlap on top of it, and that helps to trap moisture and to keep them from totally and completely drying out really quickly. So that is how we, let me get back to see what I'm supposed to say, y'all. So again, I want to say that all that information, everything we talked about, is on the seed packet. It's in the books. It's on the website. It's in the courses. It's all those references and resources are there ready and waiting for you. And you just saw me sow the seeds, and I covered one. And I want to say again, so that complete kit, which is still up, is available here in the app until midnight tomorrow, August 7th. It's $299.95 plus $11.95 shipping. And that has everything you need, including your choice of either 5 warm or 5 cool season seeds. It has the Grow Light, the Seedling heat mat, the fertilizer, the row cover, the plant support netting, the biodegradable film, the fertilizer. It has the timer. It has everything you need to get your seed started. Now, I also want to show you two things since I've talked about them, and then I want to tell you about something that's still left available. There's only 3 in 1 left, but I want you to know they're available if you happen to want one. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here. All right, so I want to bring up first, oh shoot, I hit the wrong box, as I've done that so many times. This is the Cut Flower Handbook, y'all. This is my latest book. This book includes 66 different flowers, 41 of which are cool season, 25 warm, plus the bonus that comes with this has additional flowers that we couldn't fit in the book. It's a PDF download. There's 6 of them, and 5 of them are cool. So you're actually getting 46 more resources of cool season hardy annuals, and it's everything, y'all. Varieties, how to start it, how to cut it, how to grow it, troubleshooting, everything you need. Would love to sign. This is the book if you want to grow a 3-season cutting garden and you're just ready to go deeper. Maybe you've read the Cool Flower book, but you're loving this. This is what's going to really guide you, and this really helps you nail down your dates to when you start cool, when you start warm season, and when you stop planting warm season, which is a question I'm getting a lot these days. This little book will carry you through, and I would love to sign one for you. I sign every one of them. So when you buy the book from us, it has the PDF download link for you to print out. Oh, where is that? I wanted to show it to you. to print out the PDF. And if you print it at 85% of go your printer settings, it fits perfectly into the book so that the pages are in there. And this has 6 more flowers, and they follow the same formatting and all the same type of information that's in the book. And you get that when you buy the book from us. And then, of course, the book that started it all, Cool Flowers, would love to sign one of these. This little book comes with a free video book study. And this is the first bite. If you don't know about growing cool season hardy annuals, which many of us can fall plant them, some of us can winter plant them, all of us can very early spring. Do you know what very early spring is? It is 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. That means that long before everybody else is planting, you're going to be in the know and how to do it, and this little book will actually guide you to do that. And then I just want to say that I'm not going to demonstrate it because we don't have time, but you know, we made these blocks with the commercial soil blocking tool, the Swift Mini 27, and they're no longer available to us, and we're down to 3. And they're not even on our website now. They're only over here in the app. And if you want one, it's time to get one. Look, and this is how we plant 6 seeds of kale in one block. And that's you can go back and watch the replay. But this is the size block that I would start sweet pea seeds in, sunflower seeds, beets if you're a vegetable person. And so there are 3 of these available. Did I bring that up? I did not. So I brought that up. So when those 3 are gone, then we're done with that. But and if you're a flower farmer, this is not for, you know, this is not where you start. If you're already soil blocking and you want to make more volume of the larger block, this is just a great solution for that. And there's 3 of those that are left. So friends, and there is also, I will say, there's one Mini 75. The Mini 75 makes 75 9/10 of an inch size block. The small block, the ones you just saw me make, is 3/4 of an inch. 9/10 of an inch is actually twice the volume of soil. And there's one of those left. So you can find them, and they're only here inside the app. Not to mention it's only $11.95 shipping. Shipping is more. They're heavy. They have a special box. And so if you want a commercial blocker, now is the time to strike. So let's see. So remember that if you joined late, I am going to do a little Q&A here in just a moment, and you can put @Lisa in the comments, and I will gather those up in just a minute. And if you're heading out, it's time to wrap up. I just want to remind everybody that over at thegardenersworkshop.com, we have so many resources for you. We have the Field and Garden podcast that I host, as well as Seed Talk with Lisa and Lane. I will be hosting Ask a Flower Farmer this Wednesday at 3 o'clock inside Instagram on our account. You know, and I just hope this has inspired you to start some seeds. You know, we start seeds because we want to grow more than what they're selling down at the nursery. Especially if you want to grow cut flowers and vegetables. There's just so many better choices, right? And the books will help you so much, whether it's the Cut Flower Handbook or the Cool Flower Book. And there's actually a free resources section over on our website. And here inside the app, you can actually watch replays, and you can go back and see how to use and what to do on different products. And so remember that this Friday, meet us back right here at 12 noon for the live gardening show. And this week's theme is Cool Flowers, Frequently Asked Questions Answered. And so hopefully see you Friday. And of course, next Wednesday we'll be here. And remember, be sure to turn your notifications on inside this app, because I do pop-up shops. And I've got 2 on the burner right now that I'm trying to get time. You know, we just came off that big Cool Flower course launch. Y'all, I did like 18 lives for that thing. And so we were kind of, I haven't done a pop-up for the last week. So put your notifications on so that you will get it. All right. Oh, thank you, Melissa. She said she loves my new haircut. Oh, love it. Thank you so much. Y'all, I spend half of my life out in that field pulling my hair behind my ears because the wind is blowing it and we're trying to video. And I went, this is crazy, I went to a funeral 3 weeks ago to one of my old friends' sister passed away. And during that service and then at the graveside, it was a female pastor and she had this haircut. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. I thought, that's exactly what I need. And I went up to her afterwards and said, where do you get your haircut? And she said, it's Jamie Curtis. You know, I never even thought about it. It's Jamie Curtis's haircut. And so that's what I took a picture of Jamie Curtis today to my hairdresser and said, that's what I want. And we made a big old pile of hair on the floor. It was wonderful. I totally loved it. And I will say this, and then we're moving on to questions. I saw Jamie, I guess because I looked for her hair on social media. Now she's in my feed. They're coming out with a new movie, Murder, She Wrote. You know, Jessica Fletcher, guess who? That's what she's playing. Jamie Curtis is going to be Jessica Fletcher. I cannot wait. I don't go to the movies, but I could go to the movies to see that. All right, everybody. Oh, thank you. Everybody is loving the haircut. Thank you so much. Oh, hi, Nikki. Love flowers, but not part of the sunflower group. Well, Nikki, you can change that. You can join my club or you can become one of our students. We'd love to have you join us. Oh, hello, everybody. All right, so let's see. Thank you so much, everybody. So Tina says, that's where I get confused when it says start seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before planting date, and it's a cool flower. And is that planting for the fall or for the spring? That's where I get confused. Tina, you are not alone. So here's the deal. The first thing, before you even look to that 4 to 6 week thing, you first off have to know, if you're in the United States, I would guess, since you're in the app, what is either your USDA hardiness zone or what your lowest winter temperature is. You can actually look at a USDA winter hardiness zone map, find yourself. It'll tell you what your zone is, and then you can look over to the right and it'll tell you what your average lowest temperature is, okay? So that's just good information to have. That piece of information, nothing to do with your frost dates, that piece of information tells you what seeds you can fall plant. Because here's how it works. You're going to know let's just say my lowest temperature is 10 degrees, okay? So when I look at a seed like Rudbeckia that I think takes down to 0 degrees, I can grow that. I can plant that in the fall because it survives my lowest temperature. So it's 2 separate steps. First, you have to figure out what you can fall plant. Then you start figuring out when to actually start the seed and when your planting window is. I hope that helps. So then you say, yes, I can plant Rudbeckia, okay? And you're going to start Rudbeckia, I'm not sure if it's 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 weeks. Then you're going to look at your planting window based on, following the cool flower concept and count back that number of weeks, and that's when it tells you when to start your seed. So I hope that helps. But you are not alone at all. I mean, I talk about this for 10 years, and I'm still talking about it as much now, 11 years actually, as much now as I ever have. So it's just confusing. Lisa, I'm trying to start seeds in a heated greenhouse without a lot of success. I have heat mats and grow lights. I'm wondering if I'd be better off starting indoors. Nikki, yes. It is really difficult. I don't know how big your greenhouse is, but unless it's a fairly good size, when a smaller greenhouse, meaning anything under 20 feet, probably by 20, the heat and the cold fluctuates so very, very much. I mean, it gets really hot during the day, and then if it's cold outside, it gets really cold at night. That's just the nature, unless you are really good at controlling. And it is very difficult to control and regulate a small greenhouse for that reason. I know a lot of growers that actually, especially at funky times of the year, cool season stuff, and in the heat of summer, they don't They don't sometimes start out in their greenhouses. They have a grow area like in a house or a HVAC, you know, somewhere that's heated and air conditioned to actually start. So yes, I would say that because temperature is a lot of the battle. All right, thank you so much, y'all. What's the difference in the cool season pack and the warm? It's the area where you're located or when you plant it? So that's a good question. So Cynthia asks, what's the difference? So cool season hardy annuals. So we have annuals. That's the headline, right? Annuals. Typically they live a year. You start them from seed, then they bloom, and their life cycle ends at the end after their blooming time. Well, there's two members of that family. There's cool season hardy annuals. They thrive in cool to cold conditions. They do not like heat. They fall victim to disease and pests and just do not thrive. And then we have warm season tender annuals. The warm season are plants like basil and tomatoes and sunflowers and zinnias that once it heats up outside, we plant them. They bloom all summer while it's hot, and as soon as it gets cold in the fall, if the first frost whacks them, they're dead, right? Cool season hardy annuals also just have our 1 year life cycle, but they're planted at a very different time. Some of us plant in the fall, some in the winter, and some in very early spring. The cool flower, this book is where you need to start. It explains the concept very simply. And this is why, you know, when people stopped gardening, like back in the 60s and 70s, you know, when moms went to work and it was like having a family vegetable garden and a flower garden literally got put on the back burner. They could buy that stuff at the grocery store now. That was like a step up. It was for my parents anyway. And these kind of awkward planting plants, they just fell to the wayside. They just vanished off of our radar. And I didn't make this up, y'all. I rekindled this from old books, right? Pre-1960 and 50. So that is the difference. It's not where you're located because everybody can typically plant cool season hardy annuals. It's just that we probably plant them at different timing. If you live in Alberta, Canada, in like zone 3 or 4 where it's cold as heck, you know, you probably grow cool season hardy annuals all summer. If you live in southern Georgia, you're like me, we fall plant them to get them ready and established through winter to face spring before it gets too hot and humid. You know, so that's where I would recommend you start, Cynthia, is grab the Cool Flower book. And it's an easy read. It's only 160 pages. And I see here you say you're a beginner, and that's where you start. And it just will really help you wrap your head around here. Oh, and Melissa is saying it's the type, did I just even miss that? Here I went on a tangent, didn't I? Yes. So Cynthia, just depends on which seed you choose, cool season or warm season when you're checking out for the kit. Oh, she's in southern Louisiana. Yes, Cynthia, you choose cool season and you're going to start those to plant this fall, but you need to learn when your planting time is. And I'm telling you, the Cool Flower book will really guide you on that. In Louisiana, you're like us, hot and humid summers. We need to get this stuff in the ground in the fall to overwinter it, to get those blooms early in spring. Lisa, so when will those snapdragons bloom? So Tina, that's a great question. These snapdragons are part of that experiment of what I'm starting for fall blooms. It's still too early for spring blooms, right? So that was a good question. What do you use to keep insects away? So that's a whole nother conversation, right? So Emily, my book, Vegetables Love Flowers, which is not about growing vegetables, it's about why vegetables benefit from flowers being in their presence, talks about my philosophy. We don't use any pesticides. We really follow a method of restoring the natural order of our garden, which means that it takes about 2 years because the reality is less than 1% of insects in the world actually damage or kill plants. The rest of them are good for something, whether somebody else eats them or they have some benefit. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the book Vegetables Love Flowers, the back section really talks about that. But we don't use any pesticides. So we don't really, we encourage the good guys that eat the bad guys, and they outnumber the bad guys now. Once you go through a couple of years of just eliminating those plants that attract bad bugs for at least the time being, and really get your environment built back up. Hope that helps. Lisa, is it okay to pull out my spent sunflowers and plant new transplants in the same place? Yes. You can even just cut those sunflowers down at ground level with a pair of loppers if there's not a lot of them, and just plant in between the sunflowers. There's benefits to leaving the roots in the ground, but you can pull them out if you can get them out. That would be a struggle. You inspire me. I'm retiring in a few years and have big plans for my cutting farm. Aw, thanks. Nikki, I'm having problems with white flies. Anyone else? I use the yellow stickies, but the flies went from greenhouse to my garden. By the way, Lisa, you're not helping my seed flower addiction issue. Sorry about that. So, Nikki, what I would say to you is I haven't had, first off, I want to caution you about, if you're using yellow sticky traps outdoors, you will trap butterflies, small birds, just things you do not want to trap, and it is terrifying for them and for you, and so you don't want to use sticky traps outside in your garden. You need to find out why you have white flies. That's the first step to figuring out insects. It's like, why are they here? What are they favoring? What am I doing to encourage them? Do I need to eliminate some flower temporarily while I get rid of these guys? So that's what I would look at. Sue, how do you hold up that netting? If you're talking about the plant support netting on the actual product here in the app and over on our big website, there's videos showing you how, but we just use wooden stakes, 1.5-inch square stakes, and it's just pulled tautly on the stakes. It doesn't have to be attached with anything. It is really easy to install. Can you talk about how to use the fungus gnat kit and how you use it? Okay, yes. So the fungus gnat kit, and that, by the way, is available individually here in the kit. I mean, it's in the big complete kit. So fungus gnats live in moist soil. That's where the gnats that are flying around lay their larvae, their eggs, in moist soil. And then they hatch, and it just becomes a really mess. We practice using this from the minute I starting seeds in January, which is usually eucalyptus, the first week in January. That begins every Wednesday. I put these little bits, which is actually BT, into my watering can on Wednesdays. And that means when I water on Wednesdays, that water has BT in it, which is do they call it a biological? I love reading instructions, y'all. Even when they're so tiny, I can't read it. It's so tiny I can barely read it. This is a biological that when the larva ingests this, it kills the larva. This is also used for mosquitoes out in bird baths and stuff. It's safe for pets and people. And so you put this in your watering can on Wednesdays. Before you have fungus gnats, y'all, this is what prevents it, right? Every Wednesday. These yellow sticky traps, I literally lay around like underneath my grow light. Some of them I lay right on a tray. The yellow attracts the adults to trap them. You can hang them from a grow light. But by doing both of these things, you prevent outbreaks. If you get an outbreak, you will think it doesn't work because it takes a long time to really get things back under control. So that's how I use it, and you can find that individually here inside the app. You mentioned an app. So Elon says, you've mentioned an app for identifying pests in the garden. Name, please. It is Seek, S-E-E-K, by the iNaturalist, because I think there's another Seek app, and it's free. Just download it, and you literally just open it up and go out in your garden, and this is, you know what you learn really quickly, is how bad your images are. You need to take clear, crisp images, and it tells you, take the picture again, so it can actually identify them, and it actually categorizes and saves the history so you'll know exactly what you have. Oh, thank you, Penny. Lisa, so when will those snapdragons bloom? So these snapdragon seedlings that I have now are aiming for fall. Laura, if you don't have that book, you need to buy it. Trust me, and her courses, they are worth it. Oh, thank you, Laura. That's so nice. I have all three, Tina says. Thank you so much, Lisa. When do you stop planting warm season tender annuals? Shannon, that all depends on where you are and how many days you have until your first fall frost and what flowers you're talking about. So I'm done planting and starting stuff like cosmos and zinnias and all that kind of stuff, but we're still planting sunflowers. I could probably plant a couple of grasses, but you have to know when your first fall frost is, and then look on, once again, friends, on the seed packet, 75 to 90 days to bloom. So you have to say, do I have 90 days before my first frost? And then when am I going to cut these? So you really need 120 days to plant zinnias to really get the full Monty out of them, right? So that's how you know. Telling you, the world in gardening revolves around your frost dates. People just don't realize how simple it is. Very informative for a newbie. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Oh, thank you. Thanks for addressing my greenhouse. So if the 4 to 6 weeks is that including the seedling inside then to ground. So if the seed packet says, where's the snaps? The snap says, start seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before planting date. So let's just say my planting date is October 1st. That's my target, cool flower, 6 weeks before my frost to plant. So I would start these 4 to 6 weeks before that October 1st date. And hopefully that helps. And I understand. So Tina says neem oil for white flies. You just have to know all that stuff kills the good guys too. That's why we don't use anything. All right, friends, we're going to wrap it up. I am happy to report that we ate dinner before I came out tonight. And glad you guys are here. And look at that. I still have it on that darn Swift blocker. So I hope somebody got one of those. There's 3 mini 27s and 1 mini 75, and they are only available here inside the app. Those are the commercial size soil blocking tools. And friends, the complete kit with all the stuff is available until tomorrow night inside the app. It's always available over on our big website, but the shipping is just more realistic. It actually charges you what we actually have to pay. But that's just kind of the special tonight. So friends, thank you so much for joining me. And let's see, today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. I don't think we have any lives tomorrow, y'all. So it'll be Friday, and I'll be a cool flower. Y'all going to be hearing about cool flowers till November probably. And then it's time, January 1st, to starting the seeds for very early spring. Friends, it never stops. It never stops. So I'm glad you're here with us, and tell a friend and bring a friend the next time you come, and invite them to Friday. And remember, you can watch all the replays inside the app and shop. And thank you all so much for all your sweet compliments about my hair. We'll see if I can make it look like the hairdresser did this. Now the real truth will be shown on Friday. Right.